the real use case for CBDCs, and that's dethroning the dollar. So we're going to dive into this crypto newsletter today. It's going to be based on BRICS, CBDCs, and kind of what's happening and what could be forecasted to happen over the next few months here. If you're new here, subscribe with the notification bell, leave a like and a comment. It is Friday, July 7th. It is 2:53 p.m. and this is the crypto newsletter. So before we dive into this article, first going to cover a little bit some other stuff like regulatory stuff, some Binance FUD as well too. Basically today, Binance feels strain of the world's regulators leaping into action. Remember, we think that we're going to see Binance actually tank probably this quarter or next quarter, but it's going to happen this year. And it'll probably be a result of like a Department of Justice official announcement, investigation into them, something along that lines. There's going to be a narrative to back it up. And that could cause a dip throughout crypto across the board, but ultimately it will probably be bought up quick. So it could pan out pretty soon here. So we want to prepare for that, kind of uncover what's going on in the narrative and prepare ourselves for a potential BNB short. Because that BNB short, that's going to be the Grand Slam short of the year. You don't want to miss that one. And we're getting close, definitely getting close. We're hanging out at the support line. So definitely want to cover this first. So Binance feels strain of world's regulators leaping into action. This week's Australian probe, which sought out Binance employees outside the office, is only one of a growing list of legal entanglements facing the world's biggest crypto exchange. Australian officials directly sought out current and former employees of Binance's operations there this week, demanding copies of internal communications and data from their personal devices. According to someone familiar with the matter, the representatives of Binance were individually contacted by the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, and they're looking to, across the board, we've seen multiple countries come out against Binance. And yeah, right here, we saw the exchange withdraw out of the Netherlands. Also, Binance has also been raided in Paris. So we're seeing a lot of things line up. Now we got Australia. And then this week, reports have suggested that several key executives have exited Binance, including its general counsel and senior vice president for compliance. And it's confirmed true, but he said that there's turnover at every company. But yeah, I would say that there's too many things stacking up against them. But yeah, he downplayed media suggestions that some people left because of how he was handling a U.S. Department of Justice investigation of Binance. So I don't know if we got an official announcement for that or not. I'm sure when we do, that will cause some headwinds for BNB. And then they have troubles with the SEC, the US. So we're seeing a lot of stuff across the board with Binance, all the different countries. It's not like I want them to fail, but if they're gonna take advantage of that opportunity. So Bitcoin, Ether markets best support operations for public crypto asset funds. Currently, public crypto asset funds can only invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think this was out of Canada. So Canada updated its guidance for investment funds investing in crypto. This is breaking news today. And in the future, greater institutional support and mainstream adoption of other crypto assets may result in those crypto assets becoming suitable investments for publicly distributed investment funds. So yeah, it's first going to start off with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then you'll see the ones that get the green light listed upon these as well too. Then former SEC and CFTC chairs push back on SEC's crypto lawsuits. Former SEC Chair Jay Clayton says even broad victories in litigation for regulators won't resolve key issues. He doesn't think litigation carves the path forward for crypto regulation. I believe that seems to differ from the SEC's current stance, but this is all abundant. I mean, like, he was the one that did the lawsuit on Ripple. It's all just like side talk. But yeah, like, no kidding. So we're just waiting for regulatory clarity. We're waiting for clear rules, clear guidelines. Everything until then is just a way to push it down the line. So let's go into this article. So the real use case for CBDCs, dethroning the dollar. Central bank digital currencies will revolutionize how companies settle international trade and reduce the need for greenbacks in the world economy. So much like the cruel joke Charles de Gaulle reported cracked about Brazil, that it's the country of the future and always will be, predictions of an end to the dollar-based international monetary system seem to belong to a future that will never arrive. Yet that future is coming faster than all the prior failed forecasts of the end of the dollar hegemony would have you think. In contributing to that shift, Brazil may have the last laugh. The catalyst can be found in central bank digital currencies, a model for digital fiat money that was ironically spurred by government's reaction to the 2008 invention of Bitcoin. As key export economies such as Brazil embrace CBDC-based direct settlement with their trading partners, it will spur a trend of de-dollarization over the next decade. The ramifications of U.S. capital markets for the global economy and for geopolitical power dynamics are profound. Brazil's central bank is among more than 100 experimenting with CBDCs. Others that matter for this discussion include the UAE, Russia, Singapore, and China, which is streets ahead in rolling out its e-currency. China, of course, has made no secret of its desire to reduce its dependency on the dollar. So those 5 economies account for 25% of global output, but it's their outsized roles in world trade as exporters of oil for the UAE, foodstuffs for Brazil, natural gas, Russia, and consumer goods for China, and as a finance and shipping intrapot, Singapore, that amplifies the international impact of their respective currency strategies. So things will really get interesting once such countries' central banks use digital currencies in direct settlement arrangements with each other rather than going through the dollar, which is being used as an intermediating currency in 90% of all trade finance. There are signs that this is moving forward from Singapore's DBS Bank, recent move allowing direct payments in the yuan to multilateral institutions such as the Bank for International Settlements, the World Bank, and International Monetary Fund, encouraging member countries to collaborate on cross-border CBDC design. So buckle up. Cross-border CBDCs are what matter, not retail. See, the wholesale CBDC is the holy grail. People tend to view CBDCs through a retail lens, seeing them as a new digital payment units that citizens would use in daily purchases. That somewhat overhyped idea has fueled concerns about state surveillance of people's spending to such an extent that opposition to CBDCs is now a campaign. While those privacy concerns are valid, they're a sideshow. The far bigger issue lies in wholesale cross-border transactions. I've been arguing for some time that protocol-based interoperability for countries to directly exchange digital fiat currencies would have a dramatic impact on their international monetary system. This is where, instead of the dollar being used as that intermediary currency for all of trade finance, this is where the XLMs come in, the XRPs come in, for those common bridge settlement, those bridge digital currencies that is not just a currency that is tied to one country like the US dollar, but a neutral currency, a neutral bridge digital currency, and which is limited in supply too, which is the big kicker. Under this system, a Brazilian farmer could agree to provide a Chinese hoggery with soy meal feed for its pigs at a real to renminbi exchange rate fixed at signing, knowing that a smart contract would automatically deliver those funds upon arrival of the shipment in Shanghai. With the right oracles in its place, all this would happen peer-to-peer without either side having to trust the other's promise to deliver the funds or the goods. As such, they could eschew the grossly inefficient current system in which the US regulated correspondent bank typically acts as a trusted third party in the deal. And then if we go down, now after listening to the influential economist Zoltan Pozsar, we covered that in our video the other day, our newsletter. I see that it will likely be the collaborating efforts of central banks rather than direct importer-exporter agreements that will forge this path towards disintermediated digital settlement. He sees CBDC wielding central banks adopting new roles as clearing agents for their countries, exporting and importing firms, and then using CBDCs to settle directly with their foreign counterparts. In this way, they would displace all the all-powerful dollar-based correspondent banks of Wall Street like JP Morgan and Citibank. The upshot is that countries won't need as many dollars. So yeah, we literally covered this the other day. It was breaking news, the coming monetary divorce. That it was 3 days ago where we covered all this. So crazy that they're covering it now, going over it. But depleted dollar demand in all of Pozsar's Bretton Woods 3 vision, where the dollar ultimately loses its hegemonic status over the next decade. Importantly, he sees a different outcome for that of the British pound's loss of reserve status in the early 20th century, when the US dollar simply supplanted it. Instead, he predicts a multi-currency world where no one currency is dominant, result made possible because of CBDC clearing mechanisms, which negate the need for reserve currency intermediation. Negotiating counterparts will need to agree on which of their two currencies to denominate their trade deal in, but they won't have to default to the dollar or some other universal standard for actual settlement. So China is not destined, as some have argued, to become the world's reserve currency leader. Nonetheless, it will likely see its global influence grow as more of its trade contracts are listed in renminbi. The trend is already underway. We go down, depending on how fast this trend occurs, it will have major implications for the US. The US is the biggest loser. The debt racked up by US consumers, companies, and government entities is in part sustained by the ongoing demand for dollar assets by foreign entities. The inflows prop up US bonds, which in turn depresses their yields and by extension keeps broader US interest rates low. Americans' mortgages are affordable because of foreign demand for dollars. If that demand drops off, the cost of capital in the US will rise, likely significantly. So how should the US respond? I see this as an if you can't fight them, join the moment. There's no getting around Wall Street Bank's gradual loss of intermediary status, which will mean Washington can no longer use those institutions as agents for surveilling the world's transactions. The US should accept that reality and consider how to leverage the potential fleeting advantage it still enjoys as the issuer of a currency desired the world over. It should lean into the soft power aspects of the dollar dominance, the open rule of law values that underpin its value, and give up on the hard power elements of gatekeeping and control. The soft power approach works because it reinforces the diminished but still widely held impression of the US as an open, advanced economy and gives the US a chance to lead monetary innovation for the benefit of users around the world. The path forward is the opposite of China's, I can't say that word, centralized digital fiat currency. There's no compelling reason for the US to develop a retail CBDC. Rather, official digital dollars should be reserved for inter-central bank cross-border settlement. With domestic use, digital money should be open to private players using decentralized models with crypto technology. That's where the real innovative edge will be found. So it's everything we've been saying, guys. Everything we've been saying to reach that holy grail of cross-border payments within this decade. We're seeing it all play out, the stepping stones. FedNow launching July 20th. All the other countries in the world updating their payment systems to instant real time, having interoperability in mind when they launch their wholesale CBDCs. And then that last mile of bridging the value transfer, value exchange mechanism between two countries' wholesale CBDCs, not in dollars, but instead an XRP or an XLM, which is limited in supply. So instead of all this demand for dollars, there won't be much anymore. Instead, there'll be demand for these bridge digital common neutral settlement assets, just like that. There we go. So there we go. And then also too, BRICS new unit of account. 2 days ago, I did this video, did this July 5th. It was like earlier in the day. And then we saw a lot of then we saw this in the afternoon. So July 5th, 6:30, BRICS is set to introduce a new currency backed by gold in contrast to the credit-backed US dollar, with the decision coming a month ahead of the bloc summit in Johannesburg. With the growing initiative, more and more countries are lining up to join the group. So all the stars are aligning here. We're really getting ready to see the dollar tank and see these alternative assets spike. And it's all getting ready because next month is the summit and we're already seeing the dollar breaking down today. We saw it come down to 102. If we look at the daily chart, we're getting real close to coming down to that 101 level. And if we break that, see you later. See you later. So that's what we're watching, guys. This is the crypto newsletter. A lot of stuff's in the works right now. I hope you guys have a good Friday and a good weekend. Probably fire off some videos over the weekend as well too. But for now, I'll see you guys in the Discord. Link is in the bio. I'll see you in the next video.